Hi, I'm Jessica, and right now, in this short presentation, I'm going to let you in on a unique secret, the most effective way for you to speak and understand Spanish while cutting your learning time by up to 50%. Today, I'm inviting you to join the 1.2 million happy, successful men and women worldwide who've discovered how one amazing, award-winning system will help them learn Spanish quickly and easily when all the others have failed. The very same system the illustrious PC Mag selected as their editor's choice for language learning, rating it above all others. I'm going to reveal the life-changing language learning secret that'll give you confidence, open up new worlds, help you win friends and influence people, and best of all, give you access to places and things you've never had before. Here, today, you'll find out how you can become the hero your friends and family admire, because you'll be the one they look to interact with Spanish-speaking people in all sorts of different situations. You'll be the person who takes command and solves the problem when the luggage has gone astray at the airport and no one else is sure what to do next. The one who can find their way around in a Spanish-speaking city with ease because you can ask the right questions and understand the answers. The lucky one who gets the special deal just for locals at stores and markets in any Spanish-speaking community because you can have an actual real-world conversation with the seller. You'll be on the inside with the locals when you're traveling in a Spanish-speaking country instead of on the outside like all those tourists. Because today's the day you'll learn the remarkable secret to how you can speak conversational Spanish with ease and with perfect pronunciation, understand spoken Spanish while cutting your learning time dramatically, and have tons of fun doing it. Without the struggle, the frustration, and the boredom of attending classes, of poring over textbooks and vocab lists, or of endless rote learning. Even if you've tried and failed in the past, and don't worry, a lot of people have been there before. Even if you think you don't have the time, because just a few minutes a day is all it takes, and learning in short bursts is proven to be vastly more effective anyway. Even if you think you're too old, and you can't teach an old dog new tricks, because being older can actually make language learning easier, and stimulating your mind can add years to your life. Even if you believe that languages just don't stick in your brain, when in fact, with the right system, they can stick like crazy glue. Imagine knowing that, thanks to the impressive system I have for you today, you can communicate with friends, family, even total strangers in Spanish. Imagine how your confidence will soar when you discover, like all those learners before you, that you too can actually learn to speak and understand Spanish despite that F you got in college. Imagine how much more interesting, intelligent, and attractive you'll appear when you can show off your newfound skills in real-life situations. In fact, a recent Rocket Languages survey of over 5,000 people revealed that nearly 80% of men and women think speaking another language makes a person appear more attractive, and 77% said that language skills make a person seem more intelligent. Imagine the incredible boost in confidence you'll get knowing that, now you can speak Spanish, people are looking at you differently. They're thinking that you're more attractive, that you're more intelligent. Now those are great reasons to learn a language. But having a great reason to learn a language and having an effective way to learn a language are two very different things. After all, if there are so many fantastic reasons to learn Spanish, why are so many people still trying and failing dismally at language learning? Well, that's a great question. Yes, there's a whole bunch of awesome reasons to learn Spanish. And there's a whole bunch of language learning methods out there too, big and small, simple and complex. And yes, some of them do actually work, for some people, for a while. But in the end, so many of the so-called top methods are outed as being limited, one-dimensional, and requiring hundreds, if not thousands of hours of study, and then you might be able to hold a basic conversation, perhaps. And why would you want a method like that? What you really need is a powerful system that keeps you interested, optimizes your learning using proven scientific methods, builds your confidence, keeps you motivated, and most importantly, empowers you to actually speak Spanish. So where did the unique, scientifically proven system I'm sharing with you today come from? Well, it all started with Jason Oxenham, co-founder of Rocket Languages. As a young man, Jason and his friend Steve headed to France for a 3-month cycle tour, seeing the sights and meeting the people. Unfortunately, the beautiful French language wasn't among Jason's many skills. He figured that most French people would speak a little English anyway. Boy, was he wrong. On his travels, Jason met a lot of young French people. However, none of them spoke English, which was fine for Steve, who spoke some French. But whenever Jason was involved in the conversation, it was all about them trying to get him to pronounce French words and then rolling around in fits of laughter. Steve quickly became the go-to guy, the guy who dealt with the locals, the smart one who made friends, while Jason was left on the sidelines, a disappointed spectator. Embarrassed, Jason made a promise to himself that that would never happen again. So he returned home and promptly did nothing about it. Looking back, Jason still wishes that he'd taken the plunge into language learning right then and there, because the sooner you start, the sooner you can progress, and the better you get. Even learning a little French back then would have made his future traveling experiences that much better. In fact, a few years later, Jason was back in Paris on his honeymoon. He and his new wife, Julie, had a wonderful time. At small romantic restaurants, at the Eiffel Tower, Montmartre, the Notre Dame, making the most of beautiful Paris. The only problem was that Parisian attitude. You see, often, when Jason spoke to people in English, they'd roll their eyes, say touriste under their breath, and walk the other way. It was embarrassing. Once again. So once again, Jason promised himself that this was the last time, and I'll fill you in on what he did about it soon. But first, take a minute to think about how awful it must have been to be Jason. Imagine trying desperately hard to say the words and phrases correctly, only to have people laugh at your pronunciation. Imagine being stranded in the middle of a foreign country and not being able to get the things you need, just because you can't ask for them or understand the answers. Imagine having to just nod and smile mindlessly because you don't understand what people are saying to you. Imagine how frustrating it must have been to be so dependent on someone else for the simplest things, just because you can't communicate effectively. It can be hard enough saying what you mean in English sometimes. In a foreign language, it's even harder, and without the right system, you can end up frustrated and disappointed. And that's where Jason was at when he arrived home from his honeymoon. Twice he'd been to France, a fantastic culture he loved, but his lack of language ability meant he just couldn't enjoy it as much as he wanted to. So he decided to find a way to actually succeed at language learning. And this is where things get interesting, because this is the part where I reveal the amazing secret to truly successful language learning. Now, when Jason got back from his second visit to France, way back in 2004, he got together with his buddy Mark Ling, an internet entrepreneur who was struggling along trying to learn Spanish at the local university. They spent over a year comparing notes about what they'd tried before, researching the best scientific methods and what other companies were doing, asking real learners what worked and what didn't in their language learning, and they came up with something better. A powerful system that actually works. No matter where you're starting from, no matter what you've used before. You see, their research uncovered some shocking truths about language learning that all those other methods had missed. Armed with these key insights, Jason and Mark set out to design a system that empowered learners just like you to speak Spanish right from the first lesson. Understand Spanish when you're spoken to. Reduce your learning time impressively. Have fun while you're learning. And that's how the Rocket Express learning system was born, the secret to speaking and understanding Spanish while cutting your learning time by up to 50% compared to other methods. You see, in the course of their research, Jason and the team came across many theories about how to learn and teach languages, some really complex and others that were very, let's just say, simple. After comparing all the research they'd done to the key things they already knew about what learners want, they were left with 3 central theories from 3 very clever people that captured what was most important to learners just like you. Dr. George A. Miller's concept of chunking, Dr. Stephen Krashen's theory of second language acquisition, and Neil Fleming's VARK model. These 3 ideas were combined to create one unified super theory, the amazing Rocket Express learning system. Here's how it works. Now, one of the things Jason and Mark recognized early on was that learning a language can seem like a big undertaking, a bit like trying to eat an elephant. Not that we support or promote anything of the sort. Elephants are awesome. Well, Dr. George A. Miller, regarded as the father of cognitive psychology, understood that too. Back in the 1950s, he came up with the idea of chunking. He figured out that because small things are easier to learn than big things, the best way to learn something big, like a language, is to do it in small segments. And that's still true today. So Jason and the team designed the Rocket Express learning system so that it breaks Spanish down into small, easy, manageable parts so you can learn bit by bit. Because the best way to hypothetically eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Another thing Jason and Mark uncovered was that traditional language learning methods often put learners under enormous pressure. A bit like being told you needed to finish the aforementioned elephant in just 1 hour or else. Now, Dr. Stephen Krashen's theory says, among other things, that the best way for you to learn a language is in a low-pressure environment, so that's what the Rocket Express learning system delivers. What that amounts to is, not only do you get small bits to learn, you also get to learn them whenever you choose, and take as long as you like doing it. Finally, Jason and Mark noticed that they both had different preferences when it came to language learning. Neil Fleming's VARK model states that different people learn best in different ways. They can favor visual, auditory, reading, writing, kinesthetic, or any combination. So the best way to teach is to give learners something to see, hear, read, write, and do. That way all bases are covered and all learners are catered for. Which all sounds very sensible, but what does it really mean for you and your Spanish? What it means is that with the award-winning Rocket Express learning system, you can learn the way you learn best. Okay, so if you're like a lot of other people, right now you might be thinking, wow, you've convinced me. There really is a better, more effective way to speak and understand Spanish, but how do I do it? Well, I'm glad you asked, because if it's okay with you, I'd like to introduce you to Rocket Spanish, the best way for you to speak and understand conversational Spanish, cut your learning time dramatically, and have fun while you're at it. Rocket Spanish is language learning at its finest. It contains everything you need to learn Spanish right from the very first lesson. Using the power of the award-winning Rocket Express learning system, Rocket Spanish has all learning styles covered, uses real native speaking hosts, breaks down complex ideas into simple parts, and offers all the support and feedback you'll ever need. Everything you need to speak and understand conversational Spanish right from the very first lesson. Now, does that mean you'll be a fluent Spanish speaker right from the word go? No, I'm afraid not. No system can teach you to be fluent in a week or 10 days. What it does mean is that when you learn with the impressive Rocket Spanish, like all those other satisfied learners, you'll have the backing of a scientifically proven system that'll quickly see you growing your conversational Spanish skills exponentially. You'll soon know how to have a conversation with Spanish-speaking friends and family, even total strangers. You'll be able to easily order Spanish food in Spanish. You'll be totally self-sufficient on your next Latin American vacation, renting cars, booking rooms, catching flights, asking directions, and more. And you'll be able to do it all using perfect Spanish pronunciation. Your friends will be amazed and the locals will dish out the compliments. Before you know it, you'll be instantly responding to Spanish people without even having to think about it, because with the Rocket Express learning system, Spanish will become a part of your everyday life. And an enormous part of that is down to how incredibly easy Rocket Spanish is to use. Once you're signed up, just head on into your own personal, secure members area and choose the learning activity that suits what you want to learn and how you want to learn it. Whether it's taking a state-of-the-art audio lesson, playing a learning game, or joining in with your hosts, tutors, and fellow learners on the language forum, every aspect of the Rocket Spanish course is backed by the science of the Rocket Express learning system, so you know that your Spanish is always improving in the best possible way. The powerful Rocket Express learning system has been developed by Jason, Mark, and the Rocket Languages team from the research of some of the greatest minds of the past 60 years. It's been used by over 1.2 million people to successfully learn a new language in less time and have fun while they do it. And it works. Just listen to what Karen from Calgary has to say. I've just purchased the Rocket Spanish lessons and want to let you know how impressed I am with all the material that is offered. I was just about to buy another lesson from Pimsleur when I heard the podcast on iTunes about this program. I tried a few other programs online. They're good, but nothing compares to Rocket Spanish. Your program offers the whole package. Great audio, written work, testing, lots of reference material available, and love the role-playing conversations. It seems to me that whoever put this program together knew what they were doing. And here's one of my favorite reviews from Glenna from Oklahoma. I chose the Rocket Spanish course after having reviewed several other options, including private lessons. I accessed the course for less than what 4 private lessons would have cost and was immediately impressed with the high quality and quantity of teaching techniques and materials. The interactive audio course provides clear pronunciations and lessons which are easy to understand and follow. Moreover, there are wonderful learning games integrated with the program. I am amazed at how much has been included with my purchase of the Rocket Spanish course. All aspects work together to make learning Spanish a pleasant and feasible experience. And there are hundreds more fantastic reviews where they came from, all from very happy men and women who decided that today was the day that they would finally learn a new language. There really is nothing that's as comprehensive and effective as the Rocket Express learning system for getting you speaking and understanding Spanish or any other language quickly and easily. But now you've started thinking about language learning, perhaps you want to have a quick look at some of the other options you might have heard of, ones that may sound like a good idea. You might be tempted to try one of the other big language learning companies, and that's your choice. All I have to say about that is what I said earlier. Some of their methods work, sometimes, for some people, but they tend to be one-dimensional and fixed to one teaching method, like just audio lessons, or maybe some version of immersion, or solely picture-based. So if your personal learning style doesn't click with their single-focus teaching method, then you're out of luck, because that's all they do. So maybe you could try attending a fancy university class. There certainly is something to be said for having a real person to deal with, and getting a little personal attention, and a university qualification has got to be good, right? But what about all those boring grammar drills, and tedious rote learning, and dusty old textbooks, and actually having to turn up at exactly the right time, time after time after time? How does that fit around family and work and all your other important daily responsibilities? And what happens if you miss a class? Will they repeat it for you? And if price is an issue, forget about it, because we're talking $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 or more. Or what about going the whole hog, taking off for a foreign land for a few months, and doing the total immersion thing? There's a very good chance you'll learn the language if you take this route, if you're brave enough to really become involved in the local community when you have next to no knowledge of Spanish. But at what cost? Quite apart from the $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 it could cost you, there's the cost of leaving your friends, uprooting your family, and convincing your boss it's a good idea. Sounds like a tough sell. But how would you feel if you missed your best chance to learn Spanish quickly and effectively when it was presented to you? Because there are all those amazing reasons for you to learn, and you're still watching this presentation, so there must be something there. So many people get an idea in their head, or find a goal or a challenge, only to let it slip away through inaction, or because life got in the way, just like it did for Jason. Do you really want to be one of them? Do you want to look back in 5, 10, 20 years and regret that you didn't grab this gilt-edged opportunity when it was there for the taking? Because this is your chance to become more than you are right now, to be a Spanish speaker, simply by taking advantage of this amazing, award-winning, scientifically proven system. Now, the 20 CD shipped version of Rocket Spanish, delivered to your door, is just $299.95, and that includes free shipping. And with all the research and development that's got into the Rocket Express learning system, that's not a bad deal. But today, just for watching this presentation, I can do better than that. Today, you can learn Spanish the smart way, using the scientifically proven Rocket Express learning system with instant 24/7 lifetime online access to Rocket Spanish for just $99.95. Just click the big red button below. That's right. Just one easy payment of just $99.95 gives you lifetime access to all the benefits of the amazing Rocket Express learning system. And there's so much to do here. So much fantastic learning activities and options that what you actually pay works out at considerably less than $1 per hour. You'll be speaking and understanding conversational Spanish right from the very first lesson, while cutting your learning time dramatically and having fun while you're at it. Because this system really works. Here's what the influential PC Mag had to say about Rocket Languages when they rated them ahead of all their competitors. Straightforward, friendly, and simple to use, Rocket Languages is one of the most inviting language learning tools on the market. Of all the competing software, Rocket Languages instills the most confidence in students new to the language and culture. Rocket Languages is our editor's choice for language learning. And the prestigious Language Learning and Technology Journal said that Rocket Languages offers a favorable language learning environment in a self-contained website that integrates interactive features and inspires users with appropriate resources and materials to foster their learning. The strengths of this program lie in the continuity of native presenter, the voice recognition technology, the variety of linguistic and cultural tips, the lifetime access, and the downloadable audio files. That's some great praise from some influential places. And it's well-deserved. The Rocket Express learning system is the best way for you to speak and understand conversational Spanish, and we guarantee it. That's Rocket Language's watertight, 60-day, no-questions-asked, money-back guarantee. Jason and the team are so confident that you'll be successfully speaking and understanding conversational Spanish, cutting your learning time by up to 50% and having fun doing it, that they're prepared to give you up to 60 days to try it out, risk-free. If at any time during the first 60 days after purchase you decide that Rocket Spanish isn't right for you, just contact the friendly, helpful customer services team and they'll refund every penny, no hassles, no questions asked. What that means for you is no risk and no regrets. But you need to know that this incredible deal won't last forever. It'll only be available for as long as this special presentation is viewable online, and it could go today. So take this chance while you still can and get a great deal on the most effective language learning system available. What it comes down to is this. You could just do nothing, leave now, and forget about learning Spanish. But you've come this far, so I'm guessing you're ready to add some Spanish to your life. In which case, you could just ignore all the evidence you've seen today and go out and pay a whole lot more for another product that isn't nearly as effective, and that's your choice. But if you're serious about speaking and understanding Spanish, make the smart choice. Risk nothing right now and join over 1.2 million happy learners in learning with a system rated above all others by PC Mag, a system guaranteed to work or your money back. And today, just for watching this special presentation and discovering the amazing Rocket Express learning system, Jason and the team have a special bonus just for you. Order Rocket Spanish today, and you'll also get the fantastic Rocket Spanish Survival Kit, worth $49.95, added to your members area absolutely free. You heard right. Pay just $99.95 for Rocket Spanish today, and you get 10 bonus audio lessons covering essential travel vocabulary, worth $49.95, totally free. That's over 3 hours of bonus content that you can use online or download to your smartphone, tablet, or MP3 player. So you can use it anywhere, anytime. And that's not all. You also get the beginner and advanced mega cards. That's 2 versions of Rocket Language's fantastic flashcard memory game worth $19.95 each. The mega cards will test your knowledge of over 150 beginner-level Spanish words and phrases and another 100-plus advanced Spanish words and phrases. They're a great way to practice your recall and really get you thinking in Spanish. That means, on top of the award-winning Rocket Spanish online course, based on the amazing Rocket Express learning system, you also get $89.85 worth of bonus learning, all for just $99.95. If you're ready to speak and understand Spanish right from the very first lesson, to stun the locals with your flawless pronunciation, to amaze the waiter as you order just what you want at your favorite Spanish restaurant, to finally connect with your Spanish-speaking family or friends, just click the big red button below. Before you know it, you'll be on your way to speaking and understanding conversational Spanish like a native, cutting your learning time dramatically and having fun, too. Hey, are you still watching? Okay, Well, to make things even easier for you, I've got some real questions from real customers direct from the Rocket Languages customer support team. These are actual questions we've been asked about how the Rocket Express learning system really works, whether it will work for you, and how you can speak and understand Spanish quickly and easily and have fun while you're at it. Even if you tried and failed in the past, even if you think you're just not cut out for language learning. And I've also got genuine testimonials from real Rocket Spanish learners. So this is perhaps the most common question we get about any of our courses, including Spanish. Will I actually be able to speak and understand Spanish after just one lesson? And the simple answer to that is yes. Obviously, you won't be a fluent Spanish speaker after just one lesson, but you will be able to use the words and phrases you've been taught in the right context with perfect pronunciation. That's how the Rocket Express learning system works. You get to learn a small bit at a time. Each part is put into the right context for you. You discover how you can vary the words and phrases to suit other situations. And you get to use the Rocket Record voice comparison technology to make sure your pronunciation is just right. Plus, there's a range of activities you can use to practice your new Spanish skills. And because Rocket Spanish is flexible, you can just learn the stuff that's relevant to you. That's a huge advantage, and something that Jason decided was essential very early on in his language learning research. Several of the courses he tried wanted him to learn words and phrases that were completely useless to him before he progressed. The one that stuck was, "The boy is in the car." Why on earth would he need to know that? With Rocket Spanish, you can target your learning to fit your specific needs. And the Rocket Express learning system ensures that your Spanish grows each time you do a lesson or activity. That's the Rocket Languages difference. But what if I get stuck? Don't worry. When you learn with Rocket Spanish, you'll have unlimited 24/7 lifetime online access to My Forum, the Rocket Spanish online space. My Forum is where you'll often find the Rocket Spanish teachers, native Spanish speakers, and your fellow Rocket Spanish learners. Between them, they'll be able to answer all your Spanish language questions and give you the chance to practice your new skills with real-life Spanish speakers. And the best thing is, all those fellow learners are in the same boat as you, so they want you to succeed as much as they want to themselves. You never know. Before long, it might be you that's answering the questions, because one of the best ways to reinforce your learning is to sort what you know already and rephrase it in a way someone else understands. My Forum ensures that you have someone with you at every step of the way. It's just like having your own Spanish teacher virtually on call. We also have a members hotline for any technical issues that may arise. Rocket Spanish members get preferential customer service because it's important to us that any issues are resolved fast. It seems expensive. Is it value for money? Well, let me just start by giving you the results of a survey of all our Rocket Spanish members. We asked them, do you think Rocket Spanish is good value for money? And you know what? 97% of them said yes. Remember, that's from people who have actually bought and used Rocket Spanish, so they know what's in it and what's not. Now, there are two equally important parts to value. One is the dollar cost, and the other is what you actually get. The best value is the thing that gives you the most for the lowest price. When it comes to language learning, the best value is the system that's proven to be effective, has plenty of material to keep you learning, doesn't contain hidden costs, and doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. With the power of the Rocket Express learning system, hundreds of hours of comprehension, and lifetime online access, all for just $99.95, Rocket Spanish is very good value indeed. But perhaps the best way to determine value is to compare Rocket Spanish to some of the other ways you could learn. Now, I'm not going to even start talking about the other well-known providers. There are a few common ones out there, and you will have heard of them. But we don't need to compare ourselves to those guys, not when top critics like PC Mag consistently rate Rocket above all the rest. But there are other methods that are worth glancing at. You could take a class at the local high school. Good idea. Let's say you take a semester-long Spanish class. That's 20 weeks at $10 per week. Pretty cheap. $200 for 20 weeks? Okay, so you pay your $200. Now you're in a class with 9 other learners for an hour a week. A pretty good ratio. After the 10-minute intro and 10-minute wind-up each time, that's 40 minutes left. 4 minutes for each learner, apart from the needy ones that monopolize the teacher's time. See where I'm going with this? By the end of the semester, you might be extra lucky and get an hour of personal time for $200. Is that value? Perhaps not. All right then, what about a personal tutor, if one-on-one is your thing? This might actually be a pretty good way to have a good conversation with a native speaker, if that's what your tutor actually is. For your $30, $40, $50 a session, you may get to learn some new stuff, get corrected when you get it wrong, and generally get to have a nice chat. And hopefully they'll have some sort of plan in place and some sort of system they work to just to make sure you're getting your money's worth. And hopefully they're up to date with the latest methods. Hard to know, really, and at that price per session. And we've already looked at university courses and total immersion. Phew, those costs make your eyes water. Perhaps that's why people like Rocket Spanish so much. Lifetime access, hours and hours of personal attention, and the award-winning Rocket Express learning system, all for one payment of just $99.95. Now that's value. I think I'm too old to learn another language. Now this is an objection that gets trotted out all the time. You may have heard this or that study suggesting that kids learn best. And yes, kids are little sponges when it comes to language learning. But the fact is that this is an area of some dispute, and it's acknowledged that there are plenty of ways in which adults are actually better equipped to learn a new language than kids are. In reality, a huge proportion of any communication is nonverbal. That means expressions, gestures, body language, and the like. It takes many years to become sensitive to the nuances of interpersonal communication, and kids just don't get it the way adults do. What that means is that adults are far better positioned to get meaning out of a conversation, even if their word skills are a little lacking, because they can decode the nonverbal cues. This in turn helps with verbal language acquisition, because the better you understand the nonverbal cues, the better equipped you are to understand the words that go with them. And not only does a kid lack the nonverbal skills of an adult, they also need to develop the linguistic and emotional skills necessary to speak and understand a new language. Like telling the sound of an M from an N, figuring out how pronunciation works, picking tones of voice as they relate to people's emotions, all sorts of stuff that takes years to master. Clearly, experience plays an important role in personal communication, no matter what language you speak. The fact is that, as an adult, you've already spent years developing the skills, techniques, and learning habits that are essential to language learning, stuff that a child has yet to learn. So don't let age be a barrier or an excuse, because in many ways, age and experience is a distinct advantage. I don't have the time to learn Spanish. Now that's a fair thing to think if you're considering taking a class or attending university or heading overseas to immerse yourself in the language. But these days, with all the amazing technology that abounds around language learning, any time is enough time. The Rocket Express learning system is designed to take advantage of small blocks of time in your day. Because the audio lessons are downloadable, you can put them on your MP3 player or phone and learn while you're commuting to and from work, exercising, doing housework, or any other mundane daily activity. It's that simple. You can be walking the dog while listening to a Spanish lesson about dining out. You can be on the subway while learning about how to buy movie tickets in Spanish. You can be vacuuming while finding out how to order a Spanish coffee. And when you do finally have time to sit down with your Rocket Spanish course, you already have all that knowledge ready and waiting to be reinforced with fun, efficient practice. So, a better question may be, if you don't get started now, will you ever have the time? Even if you're just downloading the interactive audio lessons and listening to them in the car, you'll be starting the learning process. And because every Rocket Languages course gives you 24/7 lifetime access and free upgrades, you'll be able to come back to it whenever you want. Aren't online courses hard to complete? This is another excuse that I suspect has been started by offline learning providers. What this really comes down to is motivation. If you're not motivated to learn Spanish, you'll soon give up, regardless of whether you're trying to learn online or offline. That's why it's important to have some variety in your learning. And that's where online learning really shines. Let's face it, The same old thing can get pretty boring pretty quickly, so why not change it up a bit? And that's why a lot of the popular courses fall short. They only have one thing to do and it gets old really fast. Perhaps they only do audio lessons and suggest that all you have to do is listen to the audio and repeat the words and you'll be a Spanish speaker in a week. Or maybe they just show you pictures and get you to match them to the correct words or phrases. Both of those methods will help you learn, but you'll soon get sick of doing the same thing over and over again. Your motivation will slide, and your learning will dwindle away into another failed attempt. And that's not what you want when you're trying to learn something as big as a whole new language. Because learning a language can open doors to whole new worlds and a whole new you. And you want the getting there to be as quick and effective as possible. Which is why the Rocket Express learning system includes a bunch of different ways to learn and practice Spanish. What that means for you is that you can vary the activities you're doing and keep your learning fresh. If you don't want to do an audio lesson, you don't have to. Maybe play a game instead. Because learning a language should be fun, something you look forward to, not a chore. And it's worth it. Imagine the freedom you get from being able to speak the lingo when you're on vacation. You can book your own accommodation, order your own meals, talk to the locals, find your way around, anything you can do at home, but even more impressive because you're miles out of your comfort zone. What do other Rocket Spanish learners think of the course? Well, we love people asking us this question because we have hundreds of reviews from our satisfied learners that we love to show off. In fact, we publish all the reviews we get, even the not-so-good ones. But the reality is that you have to look pretty hard to find the less enthusiastic reviews. Not because we hide them, but because there are just so few of them. Anyway, the way we look at it, great reviews reflect on what we've done. Not-so-great ones look towards what's coming next. And I'm going to leave you today with just a selection, so you can see just why we're so proud of the Rocket Express learning system. And don't forget today, while this presentation is online, you can start using the Rocket Express learning system yourself to speak and understand Spanish, cut your learning time amazingly, and have fun while you do it. Just click the big red button below, and for just one payment of only $99.95, you can get all the benefits of Rocket Spanish for life. Without the struggle, the frustration, and the boredom of attending classes, or poring over textbooks and vocab lists, or of endless rote learning. Even if you've tried and failed in the past. Even if you think you don't have the time. Even if you think you're too old. Even if you believe that languages just don't stick in your brain. Because thanks to Rocket Spanish and the Rocket Express learning system, you'll soon be having a conversation with Spanish-speaking friends and family, even total strangers. Ordering Spanish food in Spanish. Self-sufficient on your next Latin American vacation, renting cars, booking rooms, catching flights, asking directions, and more. And you'll be doing it all using perfect Spanish pronunciation. Your friends will be amazed and the locals will dish out the compliments. So click the big red button below now and let your Spanish learning adventure